Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Is It Possible? Today, we're doing something pretty crazy. We're going to explore what it takes to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke with no evolutions and bug types only in Pokemon Soulsilver. The rules for this walkthrough are as follows. Fainting is death. You can only catch the first bug type Pokemon on each route. No items in battle, held items are okay. No leveling past the next gym leader / elite four at the start of the battle. You gotta play on set mode, and for me, no evolving and no single stage evolutions. And no way I'm using Scyther, okay? So, with that said, let's jump into it. I choose Chikorita to give my rival Cyndaquil, and then I get my first two Pokemon. A naive Weedle and a gentle Ladybug. Already in Violet City, we got a big roadblock. This Faulkner fight looks absolutely impossible. So, I wanted to see what my chances were for getting through this fight. I played this fight many times. And after so many times, here's what I learned. Alright, his first Pidgey is easily beatable 97% of the time. It usually goes for Sand Attack and sometimes Tackle. Just spam Comet Punches and I usually get it in 2 to 3 hits. Once that's gone, you get to the real part of the fight. It can heal off my pathetic damage with Roost and hit hard with Tackle. If Ladybug sustained any accuracy drops from Pidgey, it was always in my best interest to sack Weedle and reset the accuracy drops. Ladybug gets Reflect and Light Screen at level 14, but it really doesn't help much. You only gain a turn of survival against Pidgeotto by using them, but you already wasted that turn setting it up in the first place. You also can't drop Pidgeotto's accuracy with Flash because it has Keen Eye. This fight is actually going to take some extreme luck. To win this fight, you need 4 turns in a row of Pidgeotto hitting itself in confusion, along with your Comet Punch attacks. Pidgeotto needs to hurt itself because it's gonna roost if it lost any health, so that's just gonna reset all of your progress. Let's calculate the chances of getting through this fight. Mainly just looking at Pidgeotto. Hitting a Supersonic is 55% accurate. Multiply that by the chance for Confusion to last for at least 4 turns. Confusion always lasts for 2 to 5 turns, so the chance of that happening is 50%. Pidgeotto also needs to hit itself all 4 times, which each one has a 50% chance of happening each time. When you multiply those all together, you get 0.0171, or 1.71%. Awesome. Okay, let's say you just run this game 100 times. And you finally get your magical run. What else do you need to happen to beat this challenge? First, you have to deal with this hiker in Union Cave. He has 3 Geodudes, but they don't have rock type attacks. It's okay. You do need to equip a Lepa Berry though. You're probably gonna run out of PP for Ladybug. I can catch a Paris, a quiet one, and we can take on Bugsy. Bugsy is somehow crazier than Faulkner, and with so many permutations to this fight because of Scyther U-turning and critting, it's really difficult to find a specific win rate. Both of my Pokemon have pathetic damage on Scyther, and it'll have to be whittled down. I need to paralyze it to have any chance of winning this fight, and if I lead with Paris, Bugsy just kills it anyway with a U-turn. All I can do is hope for not that. If I manage to get a paralysis off, I can go into Ladybug and try to confuse it. Reflect is just a waste of time again, and Scyther was just gonna crit through it anyway. I just have to hope it hits itself while I stay healthy with Roost. If Bugsy decides to U-turn into Kakuna, I also have to fight them with my Paris. I can't risk a poison on Ladybug because it needs to be there to 1v1 the Scyther. I can't even spore the Kakuna or Metapod either because of the Shed Skin ability. it's always going to heal off their sleeps. Paris also has no way to heal when fighting the cocoons. This fight is just like overall a huge mess. You're just going to have to do your best to wing it and press the right moves at the right time. And if you manage to beat Bugsy, there's one last trial before the game opens up a bit. That's right, it's time to fight Barry. My Pokemon can't touch Ghastly, so I just need to wait for it to curse itself to death. Paris can deal with Zubat pretty well, but if it confuses you, you should probably switch out to preserve the most HP you can for Quilava. Ladybug actually does a very nice job with it with its nice high special defense. Quilava also just prefers to go for smoke screens and leers on Ladybug instead of attacking. I do need to reset stat changes occasionally to keep Ladybug alive. I just need to pray Quilava doesn't go for Ember the turn I go into Paris. You can eventually whittle down the Quilava though with Ladybug and beat Barry. Everything's opened up now, and I can get my final 3 encounters for the rest of the run. A Yanma, a Venonat, and a Pineco. Now I can take on Whitney. I'd lead with Pineco, who's edged toward the level cap. I then go immediately into Venonat to poison the Clefairy. Then I go into Ladybug and use Substitute, Reflect, and Roost while Clefairy dies to poison. When the Meltake comes out, my Pineco will get Bide at level 20, and I can get a safe switch-in into it with U-turn. Pineco can then use Bide and just take out the Meltank for the 3rd badge. For Barry Part 2, I can set up a Substitute and 3 Sword Stances on Ladybug. I can then Baton Pass into Venonat and use Foresight to hit Ghastly, and then just sweep Barry's team. I do the same thing for the trainers in the Ghost Gym and for Morty too. I can set up with Ladybug on the first Ghastly and Baton Pass +6 and a Substitute to my Venonat. Venonat can use Foresight and Return to take out the Ghastly and the Haunter. I only need the Substitute for the Gengar, and the previous Ghastly and Haunter don't have any moves to touch a substituted Pokemon. Gengar can outspeed and can kill Venonat with a crit, so I let him hit the sub, and I have to use a Ghost type Natty Gift to kill it in 1 turn. The final Haunter can't touch me either, so I can finish it with a Psybeam for the Ghost badge. Chuck's next, and he was pretty difficult to prepare for. None of my Pokemon can take out the Primeape without a Focus Sash, and it can flinch all my slower Pokemon except for Yanma with Rock Slide. Yanma also doesn't have access to any special or physical flying type moves at this point, so I can't use him. I tested this battle a few times and came up with a pretty decent strategy. If Primeape's moves aren't that good against your Pokemon, he decides to just set up with Double Team, and it doesn't do that much damage to my maxed HP, max defense Pineco, so that's exactly what the Primeape does. I set up spikes while it's double teaming because Primeape will always try to get a few stat boosts before it starts attacking, so all I have to do is time my Bide right. And Bide also bypasses flinches and accuracy checks, so he can hit the Primeape and take it down. Poliwrath comes out, and it sees its best move is Surf versus Pineco, so it's probably going to go for it. My dry skin immunity lets me switch in safely, and Paraz can actually 1v1 this Poliwrath pretty well, barring any bad luck. During testing, the AI for some reason just still goes for Surf sometimes, making Paraz the best candidate to beat this thing. Spikes damage, plus Return, plus a Solar Beam is enough to take out the Poliwrath and avoid its Citrus Berry. With that, the 5th badge is ours. Price is next, but he's really simple. I just use Baton Pass Sword Stance to give Venonat +6 and let it sweep the team. I only forgot to give it a Silk Scarf though, which would have ensured the kill on the Piloswine at the end, but it doesn't matter anyway. I take it out and we get the Ice Badge. Now I've got to fight Jasmine, but I decided to do a little bit of AI experimenting first. And if I lead with Ladybug, who's faster than this Magnemite, the Magnemite will perpetually go for Thunder Wave until I'm paralyzed. If I lead with Pineco though, who's slower, it will go for attacking moves. Interesting. Alright, let's take that information and use it. I can lead Ladybug and just set up +6 and a sub, because the Magnemite can't do anything. I can just give it to Paris, who can take care of the team. Substitute guarantees Paraz gets to hit Steelix twice, and we can get the Iron Badge. The infamous Petrol can be swept by the same thing, but with Yanma, and then we can fight Barry in the basement. Barry's Golbat and Quilava fall to Choice Spec's Ancient Power from Yanma. When the Magnemite comes in, I can go into Lumberry Paraz, put the Magnemite to sleep, go into Ladybug, and give my Venonat the tools it needs to sweep the rest of Barry's team. The Team Rocket battles are so irrelevant, so let's just head straight to Claire. For Claire, we're gonna start with Pineco. I'm going to set up a Reflect and then go into Paris. The Reflect ensures that the Gyarados will go for Dragon Pulse or Dragon Rage as its better moves, so I can avoid the flinching here. I put it to sleep with Spore, go into Venonat, and Venonat is Scarfed to outspeed it to get an extra turn in. All I want is as many flashes as I can to drop the Gyarados' accuracy as much as possible without risking my Venonat to a crit. I can repeat this cycle after, go back into Pineco, tank the physical move, and then switch to Paris. This time I can use Captivate, which I forgot to record apparently, and decimate the Gyarados' special attack. This whole combo is going to allow me to stall out the Gyarados for the rest of its moves. We only want it left with Twisters. Once that's done, I can go into Ladybug, set up, give it to Yanma, and sweep Claire's team. The Kimono Lady Gauntlet is super difficult, and we're gonna have to get a bit lucky for these battles. First up is Umbreon, which loves to go for Confuse Ray. I can take advantage of this, go into Lumberry Ladybug, and wall it with Substitute. This allows me to get +6 attack and a sub, send it back into Yanma, and kill it. Second is Espeon, and that just dies to a Choice Specs Shadow Ball. Third is Flareon, and here's what we're gonna do. I can substitute repeatedly with Yanma to stall out Flareon's Fire Blast. When I'm at 3 HP here, Flareon only has 1 Fire Blast left. However, it does see the priority kill with Quick Attack, so it's always going to go for that. This means I can get a free switch into Paraz and stall out the final Fire Blast with a Protect. Then, I can Spore the Flareon and go into Pineco. Now I'm going to stall out all 5 Last Resorts with Reflect and Rest. Once that's done, I set up a Reflect, rest on Pineco so Flareon won't go for Will-O-Wisp, and then I switch into Ladybug. And all I have to do here is dodge Quick Attack crits. I can Baton Pass a Substitute back onto Yanma, then Flareon's Quick Attack won't actually break Yanma's sub here, so I can go for 2 Choice Specs Ancient Powers and finish it off. Jolteon's next, and it gets really scary here. I need to go into Paris right away, tank a Thunderbolt, spore it, and then I need Jolteon to sleep for 3 turns, and Yanma will finish it with 2 returns. Last is Vaporeon, and Vaporeon will see a quick attack kill on Yanma and always go for it. I can go into Venonat, Beta Surf, and then get a safe switch into Dry Skin Paraz, who can actually 1v1 the Vaporeon, barring any crits, and take down the final Kimono Girl. It's time to fight the Elite Four, guys. First up is Will, and Will's Xatu here prefers to go for Psychic and sometimes Confuse Ray. That means I can just use Substitute and Protect on Yanma to stall out all the Psychics. I can then go into Ladybug, which now walls it, and I can set all the way up, Baton Pass back to Yanma, and sweep Will's entire team. It's time for Koga now. His Ariados prioritizes Poison Jab and occasionally uses Spider Web. My Venonat walls it pretty well, especially with Sub, Protect, Rest, and whenever Ariados goes for Spider Web into my sub that I set up, I can lower its accuracy with Flash and end up getting it to -6 by the end of the interaction. On the turn after Ariados runs out of Poison Jabs, it will always Baton Pass into Crobat. This means that Ariados is Baton Passing its -6 onto Crobat too. I go into Ladybug the same turn and pray Crobat can't hit more than 1 wing attack. I'm holding a Flying Resist Berry so I can only take 1. I set up to +6, and for the first time in this run, my Yanma is outsped by another Pokemon. We can take out the Crobat though, and when the Fortress comes in, I make sure I have a sub up to tank a potential explosion. After that, Yanma can finish the rest of the team with returns. Bruno's pretty simple. His Hitmontop likes to go for counter, and its best move versus me is Quick Attack. Ladybug just has to dodge one of the 2 potential crits from Quick Attack, and with help from the Citrus Berry, it makes it more likely. I only need 1 Swords Dance. I can pass it to Yanma, use a Grass Natural Gift for the Onix, and sweep the rest of Bruno's team with Aerial Ace. Karen is the final Elite Four member, and her Umbreon likes to go for Confuse Rays and set up a few double teams before it attacks. That gives us enough turns with Ladybug to set up and give Yanma +6 attack. Yanma just needs the sub for a potential crit Sucker Punch from the Murkrow after, and Aerial Ace will just bypass any double teams Umbreon sets up. But other than that, it's just a sweep. Well guys, before we go and never see the boys again, let's see what they look like heading into the final battle. My Yanma actually has really nice IVs, and this definitely helped at some point along the way. Alright guys, let's take on Lance. I'm gonna lead with Venonat, who's a Choice Scarf Suicide lead. It can take 1 non-crit from Gyarados, and the goal is to get as many flashes on the Gyarados before Venonat dies. Each extra flash I get actually exponentially increases my chance of winning this fight. I managed to get 3 off here, which is pretty good. So I go into Paris right after. Paris always baits the Ice Fang from the Gyarados, which I can always tank with Pineco. Gyarados also prioritizes Dragon Pulse on Pineco, and if I put up a light screen, Gyarados will use Waterfall on Pineco instead. With the accuracy drops, pivoting, and protect, I can stall the Gyarados out of all of its moves except for Flail. I do mess up a bit at the end here, So Gyarados is out of Dragon Pulses here, and I'm assuming it's going to go for Waterfall like it always does on Pineco, but I actually have my Reflect up, and I'm thinking that the AI for some reason sees Ice Fang and Waterfall as both viable on Pineco at this moment. And I switched my Paraz right into an Ice Fang, and this was actually Gyarados' last Ice Fang too. I could have actually prevented this by putting up a light screen with Pineco at some point, and it would have used Waterfall instead of running out of Dragon Pulse a lot earlier, but it doesn't matter. My Pineco also dies when Gyarados still has one Waterfall left, but I can just get rid of it with a Ladybug Protect. Originally, the plan was to just Spore with Paris on the Gyarados, which would have guaranteed this part of the battle, but it's alright, because Ladybug pulls through, it can pass a Sub and a +6 onto Yanma. Sub is just for the Aerodactyl since Silk Scarf Return doesn't actually kill it. Other than that, we can sweep Lance's entire team, and that is the Bug Lock. So, is a hardcore Nuzlocke with no evolutions and bug types only in Pokemon Soulsilver possible? No. There's no way. You could play Pokemon Soulsilver for the rest of your life and never beat the Bug Lock. But I had a lot of fun doing this, so just comment, leave a like, drop a subscribe, and don't forget to like the video. I'll see you guys next time.